Our first grade teacher made my little brother piss his pants. I was in seventh or eighth grade at the time. My brother's 6 years younger than me. Our first grade teacher at the school called my parents in for a meeting about my brother's behavior. And my parents were like, he's getting good grades, like not really understanding the problem. He had timed out my lunch hour. So he would come down when me and my buddies were washing our hands. Because everyone remembers middle school or elementary school, you line up to wash your hands in the bathroom and then you go into the lunch line or whatever. My brother knew exactly what time me and my buddies were getting down to the cafeteria, and the first grade classroom was right down the steps. So he would say he had to use the restroom, get his little pass, come down, and he loved just saying what up and high-fiving us as we went into the lunch line. And we loved it. Like, hey, that's my little bro, you know what I mean? Like, that man's kind of shit makes your day. And it was like a 2-month thing before the teacher finally calls my mom in to have this discussion with my parents. My mom said, you know what? If he's lying about saying he has to use the restroom, then just don't let him go. It's around the time that Thomas and his friends come to lunch, so just don't let him use the restroom. That was the agreement. And my mom said even if he pees his pants, he's got to learn the lesson. So my mom and first grade teacher make this agreement, and then a few weeks later, my mom and dad go on a cruise for my dad's business. So they're not only out of town, they're out of the country. And my grandparents are watching us. We get dropped off at school. It's a normal day. And then I remember coming in from recess, and I see my brother in the office, and my grandma shows up and is ripping our secretary and ended up like chewing out our first grade teacher. So me and my sister have no idea what's going on. Later that day, we get picked up, and my brother's in a different pair of pants. We don't know the story until we get home later that day. My brother wanted to come down and pee during my lunch hour. The first grade teacher knows I'm coming over for lunch, already made the agreement with my mom, doesn't let my brother go to the bathroom, and he pisses himself. Purposely pisses his pants in class. And it's 10 times funnier for me now because I know my little brother was like, I don't give a fuck. I'm going to do it. Because he's thinking I'm going to get out of class and stuff. Well, it works out to even better for him, right? Because for some reason, my mom doesn't tell my grandma about this situation going on. So my grandma, being the grandmother that she is, which is a phenomenal one, she comes in, rips the secretary and the teacher for letting Wayne pee his pants. She's like, that is just horrible. How embarrassing and traumatic for my grandchild in the first grade. You should be ashamed of yourselves. Best part about it is my grandma's not even buying the story the first grade teacher's saying about my mom and her having the agreement because they can't even get a hold of my mom because she's on a cruise ship. So they can't even get in contact with her, right? My mom ends up later that day, she got in touch with my grandma or whatever. But oh my God, we were dying. My little brother didn't even care. He's like, yeah, I peed in my pants because she wouldn't let me go to the restroom. They're the ones that got to clean it up. I get a new pair of pants out of it from school, like the whole 9 yards. 10 times funnier as an adult now because I can still to this day, I wish I could have heard what my grandma was saying, but I literally watch her there doing the finger point right in the teacher's face, like all that hilarious shit. Perfect example of my family. All the communication that's required when your grandparents watch you and your parents are out of town, right? Like this is their schedule. These are the classes they have. This is what time they get picked up from practice, et cetera, et cetera. But my mom forgets to tell them one little thing, which ends up being the main event of my grandparents watching us that week. So that was one of my favorite stories from childhood, honestly. And my grandma's totally in the right. It's not like it was out of pocket for my grandma to get pissed because if she doesn't know the context of the situation, obviously she's going to be like, what the fuck? Like, why would you let this kid piss himself in class? That's terrible. That's horrible. So it was hilarious watching that first grade teacher get ripped because she wasn't the nicest lady, I'll be honest. Me and her beefed a lot when I was at school, but that's all besides the point. It was just really funny story, and I think everybody knows, like, those type of memories from school. That was actually, looking back on it, really cool to be at the same school as my siblings for as long as we were. Just because I think we moved down to Kentucky when I was in 4th grade, and we were all 3 years apart. So we were all in school together until I was in 8th grade. So it was, 4 or 5 years of us being in school together. It was pretty funny because you would run into each other throughout the day, and then you hear all these stories afterwards. My mom actually ended up teaching at that school at one point. So our whole family was basically going to school together all day. That was just one of those really cool things that you don't really appreciate and get to really realize how many memories and experiences we had together until later on. So if anyone out there is in school with their siblings, just enjoy it and embrace it because it goes by fast. I can't emphasize that enough to people out here. Just appreciate the time you get with your friends and family. And I know it's hard in middle school, high school, even early college because it's like, oh, it's kind of annoying to be around my family. Like they're always in my space. I want to hang out with my friends. Like a lot of those friends that you think you have now, they're not going to last. They're not going to be there. Your family's always going to be there. So no matter how dysfunctional or crazy you think your family is, if they want to spend time with you, just freaking make the most of it because those are the memories that you're going to have the rest of your life. You get a few good friends in there. I know that for a fact, but your family's always there. So that would be my little word of advice here on Talks with Tom today. So yeah, we'll be back soon. Hope everyone's well. Talks with Tom.
Taking shots by the lake till I can't even breathe no more, see no more. I was riding around town thinking to myself, is it gonna get easier? I'll be up and away up the street and bake, but I can't even breathe no more. What's it to me? What can I see?